Hey guys, my name is Lisatuff. I'm here doing a really quick how to trim your fringe from home video. A lot of my clients have been requesting this, so I wanted to take some time to really show you how to do this properly. I think some of you have been into salons and just wanted to pop in for a really quick fringe trim. And somebody just put their comb underneath your fringe, snip, 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 and out you go. So generally, I'm sure you've noticed that the fringe doesn't really look quite right on you, or it doesn't sit properly. So a fringe trim can actually be as intricate as a full haircut in a really small surface area. So today I'm going to use one tool. We're just going to be using a scissor instead of, a thinning shear or razor, and a comb. So that's two tools, but you will also need a spray bottle and something like this, where like a band t-shirt, where you're not going to get little tiny hairs down inside your back and stuff like that. And you're going to need a few sectioning clips. But I'm going to be going over determining the shape, how to do a proper layering, and incorporating some texture in your fringe. So I'm going to recommend going online and ordering a 6-inch cutting shear. I will say that if you haven't cut hair before, then just hold your scissor in the way that you feel you're going to have the best control. Otherwise, you can determine the longest cutting blade, and that's where your ring finger is going to enter. And this part should be staying in between these first two knuckles. The pinky can rest on your finger tang, and the thumb only goes in on that very tip of the thumb, which is actually going to be controlling the entire movement of the shear. So when you are not using your cutting blade and you're just combing the hair, you can actually close your thumb over the shear and keep the edge of the scissor closed. We're going to be point cutting, so everything's going to be directed up and around this way. So just use the scissors in the way that you feel the most comfortable. So with the fringe that I have, I cut mine a little while ago. So I do have a little bit of room to cut them. A lot of the looks that are in right now are kind of this, 70s Bridget Bardot kind of feel. And the reason that it works with a really shaggy haircut is because it doesn't have that 80s front to it. It actually is taking something a little bit more soft, a little bit more eclectic, and working it in with a little bit of a rocker texture. What you're going to want to do is comb some hair from the top. First, we're going to find the fringe and comb that section up. So, I got to lean down a little bit, and you can see where this break point is. And if you shake the long piece, your hair will actually fall right out. What you want to do is clip that piece back. Okay, and we're going to do the same in a few sections. So we'll take one vertical section right beside that one. Let the fringe fall. And clipping it back. Okay, we're combing that up, letting the fringe fall. And using that same clip on this side. So once you get to that point, this is where the recession of the hairline is. This is where the curve of the head starts to pivot and gravity starts to pull this hair down. So you don't want to cut past this recession point. We're just going to want to straighten this part out the tiniest little bit. So taking a look at my sectioning, it's not easy to cut your own fringe. If I hold this in between, I can see a little bit better with my own eyes. So I'll just try to smooth out this parting a little tiny bit, but doing your own hair is not amazing. So, oops, I didn't even clip that properly. Try to clip it from the outside in through here. Okay. So I have a pretty decent section here. Is it perfect? No. But we're gonna work with it because all of this is generally cut anyways. This is where my fringe is. I've got one little hair here that's coming out. So what I'm gonna do is clip that back through here. Okay? So you wanna go ahead and wet your fringe. I like to put the entire fringe underneath your comb And get that nice and wet. Okay, so you want to make sure that the full section is nice and wet. You can actually push the rest of the hair behind your ears. You can double check that all of that hair is up and back. Okay, and the first step with the actual cutting is to determine the shape that you want. So when you comb the hair, you can actually look at the shape that is already existing, because if you are my client, I've already customized a shape that works really nicely with your face. So the way that I hold my scissors is in a nice grip. You want to keep that scissor closed while you're combing the hair, or you can put that comb down. So first, determine the shape. Some of you have actually quite short fringes. So in this case, you're going to be just trimming little bits at a time. If you want your fringe to be nice and straight, you're going to be working with a straight across line. In my case, I'm actually going to be rounding down to the edges. So I'm going to be cutting from the middle of my hair, short to long. So I'm going to take about that much off just so I can show you how to cut them correctly. So the first thing that I'm going to want to do is split this in half. What you don't want to do is cut your hair any further back than it would naturally be if your hairstylist was doing it. You can twist this back, clip it, and we're going to comb this down. Comb it right in front of your face so you can see, and we're going to be working with a point cut. So I do like, when I'm doing my own hair, I do like to balance the scissor on my ring finger. Okay, so I've cut that with a nice point cut, angling outwards, and slowly getting a little bit longer. So that has a nice rounded shape to it, and I'm gonna follow the same on the other side. See how I'm not lifting up at all? I'm keeping this fairly blunt first to determine my shape. I'm gonna rest that down and go from the outside, point cutting in, and I can go back the other way to double check it and make sure I have a nice clean line. If you find that it's sliding out of your comb, you can actually use the fine tooth end of the comb. Okay, so I've got a nice round edge. I can take my next section down, combing that forwards, splitting in the middle, combing this down. With this section, I can come out. Okay, so to check the shape, comb it right down on your face just to make sure you have a nice even shape here. And then what we're going to do, for my clients that have a very straight fringe, you're going to only lift the fringe up about a 45-degree angle. Bring your fingers up a little tiny bit and simply point cut them up here. If you have anything that's a little bit more round or shaggy, we're actually going to be lifting the fringe right up into the air. And cutting through the middle. So you still want that edge on each side to be long. Okay? So what that does is just layers them ever so slightly. And then I'm gonna go back into my vertical sectioning, combing up, and taking off this little tiny bit that's in the middle with a little point cut. What that's doing is actually giving me a short to long effect that's pivoting throughout this entire section. So I'm gonna take a tiny little section that's just beside the piece that I've already cut. So I'm actually bringing my guideline through the neck section, lifting that straight up in the air. I can see that little bit. I'm gonna point cut that. And these last sections, because it's a little bit of a finer section, I have a wider surface area in the middle and a shorter surface area here. I'm gonna lift that up, and so it can be a little thicker is what I'm saying. Lift that right up and cut what's in between. This one's tough. Can't see it very well. Okay, and then we're gonna go back from the middle down and from the middle outwards on the other side. Okay, so you can comb away that hair. Lift it vertically up in the air. And I'm turning it just so you can see what I'm cutting here. Take another vertical section. Comb that up vertically. And cutting what's in between. And this is my last piece. Lifting that up. Cutting just what's in between. And that should be pretty good to go. So for the blow dry, we're going to be doing the wrap blow dry, which you can also check out in the how to blow dry your hair video. So I'm just going to be keeping my blow dryer facing down and doing little scooping actions, blow drying the fringe towards the middle from each side, and then we're going to be scooping from the middle outwards. Okay, so once you have that part done, you can then go in with your round brush. I'm going to be picking up each of the sides that I cut and blow drying it from the middle out to the side. All right, that looks pretty cute. Not bad. Let's take the rest out. So they've got like a cute little turnout to them. You can do these a little bit shorter, but for me, they're pretty cute. So these actually look pretty good, but I'll show you really quickly how to add some texture. So if you feel it's a little bit heavy, insert your comb underneath, look up a little tiny bit or look into the mirror. It's actually safest to just look directly up above you and point cut into that shape to soften it just that little tiny bit. And as you lift up here, you can either clean up where it looks a little too sparse, or you can go in with a nice deep point cut, re-comb if there's an area that's chunky, and just point cut in. All right. So I hope this is a helpful video. Please feel free to text me, message me, send me a DM. If you have any questions, I'm happy to be here to help you guys feel beautiful from home until salons reopen again. So be careful, look what you're doing, follow the instructions, and do not cut too far back. So good luck, and we'll talk to you soon.